Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, please put your hands together for Gideon AI.
Alright, so the gist of this deck is that you play all of these really cheap items and generators, and then dump them all on this guy or this guy. This guy to do a ton of damage, this guy to draw a ton of cards. You use this to do things that Battlemages shouldn't be allowed to do, like get a 17/17 with charge and drain. And you cycle through your deck with some random things here and there. You slow down the game with this guy. 3/9 if you get the Maple Shield with Guard. This is just killer against aggro. And this guy makes it so that all of your 1-cost items cost 0. And that's pretty much it. Alright, kicking it off with a Mage matchup. Mulligan here is pretty simple. You want to get the Arcane Enchanter, and Dragonstar Rider, and the Skilled Blacksmith. Crown Quartermaster is definitely not something that is too bad, but against Mage is not likely to last even a turn. And Execute comes down. It's pretty good to see the Execute used on targets like those, though, because the Skilled Blacksmith is a really high value type of card in this matchup. Thieves Guild Shadowfoot gives the opponent some information on what kind of deck we're running. However, we're hoping he just gets like Daggers in the Dark or something. Thankfully, he didn't get that Arcane Enchanter. And now we can start drawing our weapons with charge and drain and all that good stuff. We don't really want to oppose his 2/2, just in case he combines it with a Firebolt in order to kill it. We'd rather take advantage of the card draw. And so it looks like my opponent stole one of the 2 silences that I have packed in the deck. That means I only have 1 left, so I have to be very careful with it. Hitting face here is pretty safe. They don't have any way of breaking their own runes, really. I don't plan on breaking any more runes unless they just play really passively next turn. Two is pretty passive. My opponent now has even more information on my deck. However, I'm not entirely sure how they're going to utilize that information. So instead of cycling the Rapid Shot or making full use of the Magicka available, I decide to hold all my cards. 2 Dragonstar Riders does not mean that I should just drop one on the board. Because if I can't get any mileage out of it and I lose one, then all of a sudden I only have 2 left in the entire deck. Alakir Survivalist is a bit better because he gives me an item and he costs a lot anyway. Arrest. Definitely not something I wanted to see there. Just in case he ends up using any more stolen items to pump him up in power. I decide not to kill the Daggerfall Mage because I kind of want to get hit. And Dawn's Wrath on the 3/3. And my opponent didn't hit me in the face. So I still don't have enough items, I think, to go in on a Dragonstar Rider right now. So I just actually passed the turn. Shadowfoot again. Yeah, I guess he just didn't have a Night to Remember for Arrest or Winterhold Illusionist. Something like that. The Shadowfoot, however, allowing my opponent to get very aggressive without risking a Prophecy. Not entirely sure how aggressive he wants to be. Maybe he just really hates Prophecies. But Heal, as always, a very difficult proposition for any combo deck to get around. And so I try to eliminate that as fast as possible, expending a Firebrand. And Firebrands are usually used to carry a last bit of damage from a couple of items that are just lying around. Aaron gets back to Execute. Not another Dawn's Wrath or something crazy like that. And there's the second Bobo, the last Bone Bow, the last silence effect in my entire deck. And so far, it doesn't look like I've got any charge items yet. However, that could change very easily, because I have both the Skilled Blacksmith and the Dragonstar Rider in hand. So because I'm running out of time, I'm going to go for it. Here it comes. You want to expend the least useful ones first. And drawing the Arcane Enchanter, I decide not to use it right away, just in case I need to use the Shrieking Harpy or the Firebolt or the Firebolt. In this kind of situation, you basically need to get the Drain Charge combo. However, I didn't get it. So the second Arcane Enchanter play would have assisted with that, but it would have left me very vulnerable. There comes the Manticora. Not a huge problem, considering what my hand looks like right now, and I'm probably going to get a couple more draws out of my opponent here. Unfortunately, the Skilled Blacksmith goes down, and that's just really bad. There is a Daggers in the Dark. My opponent actually did pick up one of those. And I go down to 0 runes, which is actually a pretty good spot to be in if you've got a lot of drain available. And the second Skilled Blacksmith, that is just a lifesaver right there. So I decided to play out one of the Arcane Enchanters because I do have the spare magic for it. And I get the charge. I get a ward. Ward is very nice. Daggers in the Dark, unfortunately, not impacted by Arcane Enchanters because they're an action. And so they're still very good as a 0-cost item on, for all the same reasons that other 0-cost items are good in this deck. However, that is one minor downside. So I probably am only going to come up with enough damage. Yeah, I'm only going to come up with enough damage to realistically just kind of push back against the Aaron and remove some of my opponent's minions. Leaving me with a guard creature. However, my opponent might have a removal ability other than Dawn's Wrath. Just a lightning bolt wouldn't... No, I have 4 health. Yeah, a lightning bolt would have done it. He's digging, but he didn't get it. Looks like. Yeah. Just gonna make some room on the board. Trade in those creatures. Another couple of heals there. As I said before, pretty irritating, but I did pick up Drain off of this loot. So if I can get some more items on the third Dragonstar Rider. I still have the Skilled Blacksmith up from last time. So I'm going to need to actually go for the Alik'r Survivalist play, which is usually you do not want to do that on the same turn. Playing into Dawn's Wrath. Super hard here, but it's the only out I have. I need the charge, and I got the charge. Having 2 Arcane Enchanters makes it far more likely. So I just go and bonk that guy, making it so that even a lightning bolt won't kill me now. My opponent has 3 cards in hand, 5 damage on board, gets a draw card. Thankfully, I don't have a whole lot of access to high damage burn. Most of my items are +1 attack. So I'm back down to 5 health. However, I still have a Dragonstar Rider on the left. And I can play the third Arcane Enchanter, greatly increasing the potency of all of my item draws. Daggerfall Mage draws me an item. It's a lot of synergy there. Regenerate and Breakthrough, the classic. And Guard, But the fact that I can get so many draws off of the tome means that I actually have a pretty good chance of getting enough damage to break through. Now, I have enough damage on board, but the lightning bolt for lethal could be blocked by a Knight of the Hour Prophecy. However, that doesn't matter a whole lot because I actually got exactly 16 damage for the lethal. And starting to get red in the deck. So something like down probably to 8 cards or something. That's not every game that happens. But with this deck, it's more common. Not nearly as common as, say, the big items deck, like, with the tomes and the Dragon Priest masks. All right, so next game, another mage, and probably another control player. Like I said, aggro mage is not super common in this upper rank meta, it seems. Hovering around rank 8. There are quite a few of the wallet mage decks, surprisingly enough, and nothing to play really. Shrieking Harpy tempo is not good in this deck. It's, you want to assemble all of your combo pieces, and Shrieking Harpy buys you time. You don't want to attack too aggressively. So I can go ahead and drop down the Battlemage on the left there. Or I can go ahead and play the Shrieking Harpy there. I kind of like that option better because the 3-1 stat line trades really favorably into the 3-3, and the opponent likely has Lightning Bolt. That could be played around with Maple Shield, but I do predict the opponent has a Piercing Javelin in hand at this point in the game. So this turn, I'm willing to just let him take the trade just to get those 3-1s off the board. Very pesky. However, it looks like my opponent is playing an action variant of Mage. And a 4-4 is kind of hard to deal with without a Lightning Bolt. And so I go ahead and try and get some cycle going in just so that I can get to my pieces faster than that 4-4, and whatever comes after that can beat me down. My opponent has the Piercing Javelin, as I predicted. Although in hindsight, maybe I should have baited it out with the 3-3 after putting an item on it. However, those items are very valuable for draw purposes later on. So pinging the Paladin and dropping an unbuffed Battlemage. Again, just in case there's a Firebolt, Lightning Bolt, Javelin, Firebolt, double Lightning Bolt. But he has a Crushing Blow. I think a lot of the reason these mages are at this rank are because they're using a little bit older decks, perhaps. But regardless, I just go with the same play. Third Battlemage. See if I can't contest. The opponent does do the Mini Cabalist's Tome there. Still has enough Magicka to ring out Piercing Javelin off of the Cabalist's Tome. And I've got enough items in hand and the Skilled Blacksmith that I think I can go ahead and get a bit more cycle going. See if I can't get an Arcane Enchanter or a couple more combo pieces, a couple more Survivalists. If I get a Nord Firebrand, then I can combo with the Firebolt to kill off the Ardon Paladin. It's been giving me such a beating, but I didn't find it. I think that's totally fine. Wouldn't be surprised if the guy got removed. Yep, there's second Piercing Javelin from the deck. Third this game. And I'm down to 14 health. And I have a full clear available to me. So I go ahead and take it. I get the second Survivalist, which is a pretty sweet draw. However, it's going to take a lot more beating down than normal because my opponent drained so much health with that one card. Firebolt, double Firebolt? Nope. Stealer's Secrets. Comes down as an 8/8 with Ward. Makes sense in one of those action mage decks, but I do have both silences available to me. Drew them very early, so I'm not afraid to use one. Dropping both of the Skilled Blacksmiths lets the Bone Bows be cast for free. However, it's not like I was going to do anything else with that magic anyway. I want to make both of my guys immune to Lightning Bolt. And not break any runes right now. We simply can't afford that. However, I did go ahead and let my guy on the left go into Lightning Bolt range. I would assume that this opponent would prefer There's a Sanctuary raid, but I would assume my opponent would prefer to use lightning bolts on my face and might not even worry about the 7-4 on the left there. Arcane is just a little bit late here. So I put my opponent down to 26, and I go ahead and silence the Shimmering Peddler just in case. However, knowing that my opponent runs Stealer of Secrets, I might have wanted to save that. There's a Firebolt. And a second Stealer of Secrets can beat me down from my current position in health. There's that. All right, next match we got another mage. And loots are pretty bad at the start, so easy mulligan. My opponent only kept 2 cards. And it has the ring. Speak of the Devil. And High Rock Summoner. Kind of an experimental card. My hand is very slow, but I'm not going to Firebolt the 1/1 because I really could care less about such a small creature at this point in the game, especially when it can potentially be used as a tool to get the ward off, and never mind, Execute is very viable. Next turn, I fully expect the Atronach to come down, so in anticipation of that, as well as being able to utilize my Dragonstar Rider to draw a bunch of cards, I drop the Skilled Blacksmith, but my opponent gets pretty scared, and also wants to apparently play a little bit longer for setting up a Dark Rift instead of using the tempo of the Atronach. Clearly being pretty aggressive, although you kind of are forced into that when you start running Dark Rifts. And that comes down to Storm Atronach. Not easy for this deck to deal with, one of the major flaws. So start out with the Daggers in the Dark because they are actions and there's no action synergy, and they're also 0 cost. You always want to start out with the 0 costs first. I didn't really draw anything that I could use that turn. My opponent has a Piercing Javelin, as expected. Sometimes you just want to cycle cards out, and that's exactly what I did. Opponent popping 2 runes here. Potentially looking at my hand size and just saying, you know what, this guy just, it doesn't matter if I give him extra cards. Go ahead and I now have a clear way to clear off that 7/5, which would be really, really useful right here. However, I do take the opportunity to kind of set up here. And in hindsight, I probably should have put the Crown Quartermaster on the right. But, yeah, what we're looking for on our items out of that Arcane Enchanter are Drain and Charge, obviously. Breakthrough's not the worst, but most other things, not as good. So yeah, it looks like my opponent is doing one of those themed Atronach decks, which are not half bad in the right circumstances. I go ahead and clear off everything I can because my health total is getting way too low and I don't have any drain items whatsoever yet. I can only clear off one of those 2 Atronachs right now. And I don't Firebolt the 1/2. In hindsight, I probably should have, because most people who are running the Conjuration Tutor are running various flicker options, such as the Winterhold Illusionist, I believe it is. There goes my last rune. 5 cards drawn, which is very good if you can come back from that position. However, that's looking to be fairly impossible outside of a miracle. If I get Drain and a lot of charge damage, then perfect. I don't really have the option of playing down the Alakir Survivalist, so just gotta hope for that charge and drain. just gonna kind of keep cycling. We got Breakthrough. We got Regenerate. We got a Loot. We got a Lethal. Another Lethal. And I'm gonna go ahead and silence the guard. Just probably should have silenced something with Ward, but there's the Drain. If I can pick up the charge, dropping the Crown Quartermaster. That skilled Blacksmith putting in some serious work. There's another Drain, another Bone Bow, more Drain, Maple Shield. Turn timer's running out. Another Drain. Daggers in the dark. Rapid Shot. Cycle. And that's it. No charge. That's fun though. Hard to beat that. So to wrap things up, you can do a whole lot of things with this style of deck. Just focusing on the really, really small items that don't do a whole lot in order to trigger more powerful synergies. And earlier variations used Rehod Horsemen in order to have a really, really aggressive opening, 2-card opening, but usually something like a 2-cost 5/5 if you get the Maple Shield with Breakthrough. So, and the version you see on screen is a little bit different than what you saw in the gameplay. It focuses a bit more on tying everything together, making sure you have all of those crucial combo pieces, the Arcane Enchanters, Alik'r Survivalists, and Dragonstar Riders. And discarding a small item is really not that big a deal, so long as you get to your big combo pieces. And who knows, maybe there's a double miracle build just waiting to be built with the discard synergy, Master of Arms, Dragon Priest masks, alongside the Dragonstar Rider and the Maple Shields. But I'm going to let somebody else figure that one out. All in all, it's really hard to pinpoint whether this deck is good against aggro, mid-range, or control, because it all really comes down to what cards you've drawn throughout the game. You could draw the perfect anti-aggro opener and beat them down in a big one-hit kill from 26 health. Or you could draw nothing but items and lose. Hopefully this video serves as a good demonstration for what the possibilities are for this kind of deck and others like it. And if you have any questions about the deck, feel free to ask away in the comments section below. Remember, go crazy.